What is up, everybody? This is the Mad Hatter, and you are watching another edition of the Mad Hatter is Puzzled here on Instagram, and I am on YouTube. Woo! Finally got this thing to work. So definitely glad to be with you all on tonight here on the podcast. I got a few things that are puzzling my mind on this week. And so want to share some of those things with you all and give you some commentary on things. I want to give some insight into what's going on in the world out there on today. Before getting started, I want to just congratulate all of my contestants in the Mad Hatter versus Puzzle Battle Championship, sponsored by Betterco. From all accounts, I'm hearing that the puzzle is kicking everybody and their grandmas behind. And I certainly do apologize for that. I was assured in my heart of hearts that this puzzle was going to be a little bit easier than the last one. But from what everybody's been telling me, this puzzle is about as hard, if not harder, than the first one. And so I certainly do offer my apologies for the puzzle being as difficult as it is. Based on what I had seen, I thought that this would be an easier path for you guys to kind of just blow through. But from what I'm hearing, you guys are kind of struggling a little bit, and I do apologize for that. But continue to puzzle hard. My hope and expectation is that we'll have, good success with, finishing on tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the end and the videos that will come from that, and be ready to crown a champion come Sunday. If you are interested in joining in on this Puzzle Battle Championship, again, the registration will be open for the Puzzle Battle Championship third leg of the Puzzlegenics Grand Prix on Monday, September 14th. And so if you want to join in on this puzzle battle with us, registration will open on registration is $10. You'll get a discount from the puzzle company, Puzzlegenics. Definitely grateful for them for sponsoring the event, and looking forward to seeing this next battle. Now, I believe, based on the puzzle that I've seen, that this one should be easier than the last two. Now, again, I don't know how to make it any easier than what it ought to be this time around. And so once you register, you know what the puzzle is, and so you'll be able to view it, and get a feel for it yourself to see whether or not it's even something you feel like puzzling at this point. So again, I'm grateful for those who have stuck it out, who have challenged themselves to get to the finish, and certainly excited to see, how it all plays out in the end. But again, Puzzlegenics Championship, Puzzlegenics Grand Prix, rather, will be open on Monday, September 14th. Also, for those who are participating in the leaderboard challenge, you guys are doing a heck of a job so far. So many pieces of puzzle put together. So many things we're having to count on a daily basis. I'm so happy that you guys are doing well with that also. And so looking forward to seeing how that plays itself out. We've seen the leaderboard change in the standings over the past couple of days. Over the past week, we've seen the standings change back and forth. And so definitely excited to see how you guys do with that as well. Also, with the Together We Puzzle campaign, continue to do that as well, as we give you your themes and you're doing your puzzles based on those things. So we got a lot going on. Mad Hatter has a lot going on, and I'm grateful for everyone who is participating. And again, thankful to all who are, supporting Mad Hatter and all that we're trying to do for the Puzzle Nation. So again, I'm here to talk to you guys for a good 50 minutes about some things that are puzzling my mind over the course of this week. I am currently working on, where is the box? This is the puzzle that I'm currently working on right now on my table by Vatos. It's called Fire Balloon. Definitely excited about this puzzle and hope to get this done with this puzzle on tonight. I'm about maybe 60% done right now, and I'll show you guys a little bit of it at the end of this podcast. But we're going to jump right into it today. I got, again, a lot of things on my mind that I want to talk to y'all about. And the first thing that I want to talk about today is the fact that this California fire that was sparked by a gender reveal party has grown to nearly 10,000 acres. A fire sparked by a pyrotechnic device used during a gender reveal party has grown to nearly 10,000 acres since Saturday, and I'm sure that number has changed since the time that I printed this on Tuesday. The fire was caused. This is a story by Sarah Moon and Holly Silverman over at CNN. The fire was caused by a smoke-generating pyrotechnic device used at a party on Saturday morning in El Dorado Ranch Park in Yucaipa, about 70 miles east of Los Angeles, local fire investigators determined. It says that evacuations have been ordered in the area as homes have been threatened. More than 75 large wildfires are burning across the United States, with California hit the hardest. We had done a story earlier. What's up, man? Okay. We had done a story earlier this year about gender reveal parties in general and how dumb we thought that they were. Well, at least I think they're dumb. My wife, on the other hand, thinks that they're great and that we ought to continue having them till the cows come home. But I am convinced that, gender reveal parties are dumb. I don't know why we have them, and I don't know why we continue to have them, because at the end of the day, for me, who cares the gender of the child, in terms of us having this big old celebration about the child, revealing whether it's a boy or a girl. Just tell us whether it's a boy or a girl and be done with it. But again, I get the other side of it, my wife's side, where she's like, let's have a party, let's celebrate, blah, blah, blah. But but some people just take this thing too far. And now, we know that I believe that someone has died from the wildfires that are going on. I just had a friend of mine to tell me that the smoke that from the wildfires have gotten so bad that it's reached up to Washington and Oregon, way above California, and it's just really, really bad, man. Like, bruh, what is the point of having this big spectacle just to talk about whether or not the child is a boy or a girl? Like, it's really not that deep to have this whole fireworks show, or this, this bow and arrow shooting at a balloon, or gun going off and revealing blue smoke, or whatever the case is, just to say whether your child is a boy or a girl. It's really not that deep. We shouldn't have to go to such grand measures just to reveal whether or not a child is a boy or a girl. Again, I understand. Let's have our parties. Let's have our fun. Let's try to figure out. Let's have a good time and everything. But I don't think that we have to have these grand spectacles. And even the originator of the gender reveal party said that enough's enough. It's gone too far. Like, it was never supposed to be this big of a deal. When she started, it was just a piece of cake cut, and it just showed whether it's pink or blue. It really wasn't that big of a deal. But now we've turned it into this big thing. And I've said this before about marriage, about weddings, about, graduation parties, about Sweet 16 parties, that sometimes it can be more about the show than it is about the actual, marriage or the, or the graduation or whatever the case is. It's all about having this big grand day, and the day becomes more important than the actual birthday or the marriage or whatever the case is, or the anniversary. It's not to say that we don't celebrate these things, but we gotta keep in mind what it is that we're doing and what we're doing it for, and not get to the point, that we end up doing these grand spectacles that are unsupervised, and get to a point where they're burning down, where half of California is burning down now, all because you wanted to know whether or not, you wanted the world to know in this big grand way whether or not your child is a boy or a girl. Man, text that thing and move on. Let's eat some cake and move on. You don't have to have this big old, 10-hour, thrill fest with, all of the folk, watching from 50,000 miles away, and cameras flashing and all this other stuff, just to say whether or not your child is a boy or a girl. Again, I'm not poo-pooing having a party or a good time or whatever the case is, but just be mindful, because I'm pretty sure these people who had this party, who did this pyrotechnic thing, could not have conceived that they were going to burn down half of California just to have a gender reveal, for a gender reveal. But at the same time, it's because we've allowed these things to grow out of control to where the way that we have, to where now half of California's burned down. You got San Francisco looking like it's the apocalypse, and smoke is now being inhaled by half of the people over on the West Coast. Like, if 2020 couldn't get any worse, we got coronavirus, we got school shutdowns, we got economy falling apart. We got hurricanes trying to take down Louisiana again, and now we got California wildfires. It's like, bro, we can't get we cannot get out our own way at this point. Like, bro, chill, sit down somewhere, and let's stop trying to be. It's crazy. It's asinine to me. And I just hope and pray that people take a lesson from this, that just because you want this show doesn't mean that you have to go so big and so hard that you end up doing something that's more detrimental than it is beneficial to anyone. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have this great party, you're going to do this great thing, and then people are going to move on with their lives. Like, it's deep, but it's not that deep to where you're having to do this big grand spectacle and end up causing more harm than good. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to fill out the comments box below, and I'll try to get to your questions and comments as fast as I can. I'm also it's also simulcasting on YouTube, so you can watch us there as well. I see a lot of my folk already just saying that they agree with me, and that's awesome. I love you guys for doing so. Again, if y'all have any questions or comments, just feel free to fill out that comment box below, and I'll try to get to y'all as fast as I can. The next story that I want to talk about today is this story that came out on September the 7th, and it's an opinion talking about Jessica Krug pretending to be black. And so I'll just read it, and then we'll just go from there. The news about Jessica Krug, disgraced George Washington University history professor who had been asked to resign by her department, came fast and furious on Thursday. In a post on Medium, she confessed to having masqueraded as African descent, gaslighted those who I love, and asked to be canceled for having lived a violent anti-black lie. The irony to Krug's revelation is that she was apparently discovered because several Black Latina scholars questioned Krug's identity after a group discussion about the late novelist H.G. Carrillo, who after his death this year was revealed to not be Afro-Cuban, but African-American by his sister. But it was the violence that Krug, who said in her post that she had grown up as a white Jewish child in Kansas City, had done to her colleagues, peers, and students that hurt the most. The depth of the damage was most poignantly called out by Yamira C. Figueroa, associate professor at Michigan State, who comes from a working poor background growing up in Hoboken, New Jersey. In a Washington Post interview, Figueroa said it was disgusting and asserted that many in the academic world are aghast that Krug would perpetuate these lies and gain access to the spaces in the academy, the resources. One of the lines that I wanted to read toward the end says, one of her students said to a reporter at a New York magazine's The Cut, "She would have been fine if she was just a white woman. I have taken several African studies courses at GW taught by white professors who were just as passionate and just as knowledgeable. The things that she taught me could have been done without this whole minstrel show of a persona." And so one of the things that really confused me about the story in general is the fact that I understand. Well, let me try to explain this as best as I can, because the story confused me, but it didn't confuse me. I can understand where Krug was coming from in terms of her ability to code switch, and let me explain to some of y'all who might not know what that's about, what that means. When we talk about code switching, we sometimes in the world that we live in have to put on a certain persona in order to feel like we can matriculate through the world that we live in. In some instances, and I've talked to y'all about this before, about my own personal life growing up. people would sometimes say that I sound white or that I act white or that I'm not black because of the way that I talk or the way that I carry myself. Some people would say that I, tend to not lean toward blackness as a result of the way that I am and the things that I enjoy doing. And so for some of us, we have learned over the course of our lives on how to navigate white America or corporate America or the workforce or banking or whatever in order to gain the access that we need, in order to get the things that we need, that the resources that we need, or the status that we need in order to move up in the world. And we call that code switching, where I can be black, quote unquote, amongst my black friends, family, whoever, but I can also act white in front of my white peers or my white bosses or whatever the case is, depending upon what the situation or the circumstance is calling for. And so I surmise that although she may have taken it to the extreme, that she was doing the same thing. That in order to move into the world that she wanted to infiltrate and wanted to understand and wanted to gain access to and resources to, she was able to code switch. Given that she was of multiple ethnicities, according to the story report, she was white, black, Latina, the whole 9 yards. I mean, she's the quintessential melting pot of America. And so with that, she was able to then gain better access to the resources that she wanted to have access to in order to do the things she wanted to do. Now, I'm of the mindset also that she may have taken it too far by denying a part of herself for the longest time and only acknowledging one side of herself to further gain those resources and that access. And she actually talks about it a little bit, saying that it may have stemmed from something that happened in her childhood that she's now having to work out or whatever the case is. And so I'm bringing all that up to say to us today, not so much that I'm kind of confused about all of that, but I'm saying all that to say, you don't be intimidated by who you are and don't allow others to intimidate you for being who you are. Embrace the fullness of who you are and allow yourself the space to be you, regardless of what arena you're in. I think that we've come to a point in our lives and in our time where we can no longer afford to be afraid to be who we are and allow people to dictate who we ought to be. You can only be the best you that you can be. There's no sense in denying a piece of yourself or denying a part of yourself just to fit in some place. Just as the person at the end of the story was saying, the student of Miss Krug was saying, it would have been fine if she just would have been her whole self and taught African American studies. Like, we black people, for all intents and purposes, there may be a stigma about white people who teach African American studies, but I promise you, if you're genuine about what you do and you're passionate about what you do and you're genuine about who you are as a person, we black, white, or whoever will accept you and embrace you for being the fullness of who you are. And you're going to have detractors regardless of where you're at, whether you do the best possible thing that you can or the worst possible thing, which I'll talk about in a little bit. You're still going to have detractors who are going to have something to say. But if you can be your most authentic self and do what you do with a passion and not deny a whole segment of yourself, or try to put off airs as if you are someone completely different just for the sake of trying to gain access to certain things. Because at the end of the day, if you be your most authentic self, then when stuff like this happens where people want to say, oh, you may be acting like this, but you're not really that or whatever, you can stand flat-footed and say, I was never trying to put on airs. I was never trying to take advantage. I was never trying to, to one-up anybody. I was my full authentic self from start to finish. And that's how I gained everything that I gained. That's how I did everything that I did. Now, if you think that I'm coming off a certain way, that's on you. But it's not because I'm putting on this persona to say that I'm this or I'm that. and then come to find out that I'm something completely different. I think we have to come to a place in our lives where we accept the fullness of who we are. We're flawed individuals, but we are beautiful individuals at the same time. We are beautifully flawed. We're not perfect people, but we are the best people that we can be by the grace of God and how He's designed us to be. And so we embrace the fullness of who we are in whatever arena that we're placed in, and we just do the best that we can. I think that where Jessica Krug messed up is that she decided that she wanted to only be a piece of herself and wanted to portray as if that piece was her whole self, when she's got a whole nother side of her that she did not embrace, she did not talk about, she would not bring up. And so when people called her out on it, now she's got to go through this whole unraveling thing of, yes, I was putting on airs, I was doing this, I was doing that, and now I have to deal with the criticism that comes with it. Had she just been her full authentic self, then we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Because I know they brought up the lady who, is identifying as black, even though she's white, and she's been doing this whole 15 minutes of fame thing on TV now, talking about, the nuances of blackness and all that. And it's just become this PR junk for all I care. Because at the end of the day, it's just a simple matter of do you trust in who you are, the fullness of who you are, and are you willing to put yourself out there, the fullness of who you are, and embrace whatever comes with that, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. But I'm here today to tell you all, there are a collective of individuals somewhere who loves you for you, who will love every piece of you, every part of you, flaws and all. And when they show you that they love you, when they show you that they care about you, you embrace them, you hold on to them for as long as God will allow you to, because it is those people whose opinions matter the most. Anybody else who has anything to say about who you are or what you think, and they don't understand where you're coming from, if you're putting your best self out there, then you don't have to worry about any of that. You ain't got to worry about whether or not their opinion counts or matters or whatever, because at the end of the day, you are the best version of you that you are going to be by the grace of God. And if people can't accept you for that, then forget them. If y'all have any questions or comments, feel free to fill out the comment box below, and we'll try to get to those comments as fast as possible. You are watching the Mad Hatter is Puzzled live right here on Instagram and on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube page yet, type in the Mad Hatter is Puzzled on Instagram, and you'll be able to find me there. The next story that I wanted to bring up today is kind of sad to me a little bit, but we're gonna talk about it anyway. I'm gonna kind of slant it just slightly, so just kind of roll with me a little bit. Let's see what time it is. Okay, we got good time. Facebook stops a French man streaming his dying days. This came out September 6th on CNN, and the story kind of faded out. As y'all can see, my printer was kind of losing the battle that day. And so I don't have the whole story in front of me. So I'm just going to read what I can see to kind of give you guys a synopsis of what was going on. This French man with an incurable disease, Facebook stopped him from streaming his death on the social media site. That's the platform. Facebook said while his decision to draw attention to the issue that he was having is important, we are trying to prevent broadcast on his account based on the advice of experts that the depiction of his suicide could be triggering and promoting more self-harm. And so, long story short, this man in France was wanting to put on he's deciding to stop all medications and go ahead and just pass away. And his thought process was that, I want to give people awareness to what I'm dealing with disease-wise. That it wasn't so much about trying to show his death, but about trying to show people how debilitating the disease that he had was, and that there's really no cure for it whatsoever. And so he's just tired of suffering, and just wants to go ahead and die. But Facebook, given especially what week we're in with Suicide Prevention Day being yesterday, they decided to cut him off of Facebook because they did not want that to be streamed on their site for fear that people would either fall into that, or they would be triggered by that in some type of way. And so they decided to not allow him to stream that post. And so it brought up this idea in my head, and I've thought about this for a while. Not so much about him specifically, but about the danger in social media and its ability to make us instant celebrities. Again, I tell anyone I'm grateful for Facebook, I'm grateful for Instagram, I'm grateful for YouTube, I'm grateful for TikTok, all of the platforms that allow us these spaces to be able to share with one another the things that we love, the things that we enjoy. Like, I really enjoy the fact that I'm able to get on Facebook and get on Instagram and show y'all, my lovely puzzles and everything that I'm doing here. Say hey to the people out there. That's Marie right there. She's sitting here watching with me. And I really enjoy being able to share, all these things with you all. And I'm sure that all of you are, happy to be able to share your stuff as well. But there comes a line that has to be drawn at some point when it comes to the things that we do share. Now, again, I'm grateful for the platforms, because if not for the platforms, then we wouldn't see what we're seeing right now with Black Lives Matter and, police brutality, trying to stem the tides and things like that. And not just with Black Lives Matter, but I'm talking about, any type of issues that are going on with sex trafficking, going on with cancer awareness, and the list goes on. Like, social media has allowed us to be able to create these makeshift platforms and make them as big as we can make them, so that people can be aware of whatever it is we want to be aware of. But at the same time, it also can create a world where we can get to a space and think that we should just let everything come out in the open. Now, I'm not for censorship, so that's not what I'm trying to advocate. But what I am saying is that we as a society have to be careful of what we decide that we want to put on social media, because it carries a whole lot more weight than we think it does. I remember when there was a story that I wanted to share with y'all a long time ago, but never got a chance to. When the pandemic first started, and one of these celebrities was able to get access to a COVID test, because she knew the right people to talk to and paid the right money in order to get a test. And she was able to get one, while many people in her city with not a lot of income and definitely were in much more danger than her, were unable to get that same test at the time, because testing was like very, very new, and no one knew where to get tested at. But she was able to access one because she had the money to do it. And it's not the fact that she was able to do it that was the issue. The issue was she made such a big deal about it on Instagram, on her pages, and it caused such a backlash that she ended up having to go and apologize because, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to offend anybody about me talking about getting the test. I just really wanted the test because I was scared, But now she had to do all this back work of apologizing for having access to things. Again, and no one's knocking. If you got the money and you got the power and you got the access, man, do what you do. Leverage your resources to do what you need to do. But again, we have to be mindful that when we post, we are liable to have to deal with a lot more backlash than we think. And so, what ends up happening is that for a lot of us, we end up, not being able to. What ends up happening is that we end up, causing sometimes more harm than good, and we end up having to do a lot more work than we thought we needed to, simply because we put a post on our social media platforms. And sometimes we don't know the consequences that come with what we're posting until way too late. And so again, I'm not trying to say we need to censor anything or anybody. Facebook, I believe, for my own sanity, I believe they did the right thing, given where we are in the world and given how much, we want people to, make sure that they know that people can have access to, to resources and the personnel that they need to do what they need to do in terms of their own mental health and things like that. And so I think they did the right thing. But all I'm saying is that we have to be mindful that people are watching. And because they're watching, we have to be careful that we're not putting things on our pages that may do more harm than good. Now, again, at the end of the day, post what you're going to post, do what you're going to do, say what you're going to say, because at the end of the day, you're going to do you. But just be mindful that what you do, what you say has a lot more weight than just you. And so you're free to do what you want to do with your platforms, but just be mindful that your posts and your pictures and your videos and whatever you put on there is carrying weight, and people are watching and people are going to hear and people are going to think as a result. Not that we can control any of that per se, but we can at the very least try to be mindful of what we're putting on there so that people, for better or worse, are, not triggered by anything. But at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do in order to put the information out there. I wish that this guy could have found a better way to portray what he is going through. Because again, I cannot imagine being in his position, and I'm pretty sure that it wasn't a matter of him wanting to just put up there that watch me die, but rather he was wanting to bring awareness to his situation to let people know that they're not alone. And maybe there's a different way to do that. Maybe Facebook has reached out to him to see if there is a better way to do that, but right now, I don't know, and no one's saying anything about it. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to fill out the comment box below, and I'll try to get to those as fast as I can here on Instagram. I am, again, live on YouTube as well, and so if you're able to watch on YouTube, you would subscribe to my page, and you'll be able to get access to not just that, but all of my content that I have available on YouTube. The next story that I have, hi, how you doing, Merry Meeple people? It's good to see you. Next story I have, I wasn't able to print it off because every time I tried to print it, it would just go nuts. So I'm just going to go off the top of my head of what I remember about the story, but it is my top story for tonight. And you got plenty of time to talk about it tonight. So in Italy, in Sicily, there are people who are getting arrested for stealing sand. Right. Stealing sand. S-A-N-D. Sand. So there are now laws in Sicily that if you steal sand off of their beaches, you are liable to be fined up to $5,000. And I think I may be wrong with that figure. I think it may be actually more than that. But the last figure I saw was about $5,000. And maybe some probation for stealing sand off of their beaches. Apparently, there are people that are going to the beaches and they are stealing sand, they're stealing pebbles, they're stealing rocks, they're stealing all sorts of stuff off these beaches. They found a guy and they arrested him for having a 4-pound bottle of sand stolen from their beach. And so they have these laws in place. They've been in place for a while because they said that people have been doing this for a long time, and apparently it's been causing a lot of damage. And so they had to put these laws in place, and they are enforcing them like mad because people are trying to pull off these sand heists now, where they want to take people's sand and sell it to the highest bidder. So a couple of things I want to talk about with this. First off, who wants sand that bad to where you have to get somebody to go to an island and steal this sand? What is so special about sand from Sicily? Like, is there some type of magic potion that's in this sand that makes you look younger? Or is there some type of healing agent in it that we don't know about that makes your skin look like you're 20 years younger than what you are? Like, is it some type, does it do something to the vegetables or the fruit that's growing in your garden to where if you have this sand, your food will be the best organic food it's ever been? Like, what is it about this sand in Sicily that makes people want to risk thousands of dollars in fines to steal off of an island? I cannot wrap my head around what it is about people placing value on things that do not matter. Like, I can go to Lowe's right now. Matter of fact, no, I'm going to go a step further than that. I can go in my front yard right now and go into my basketball goal and take some sand out of that basketball goal, put it in a bottle, and say it came from some random place, and apparently sell it on eBay for thousands of dollars, just because there are some people out there who are crazy enough to think that if this sand came from some exotic place somewhere, then it must be the most special sand on planet Earth. Who in their right minds thinks that it is that important, that deep, to have some sand from a foreign nation or a foreign island? I cannot wrap my head around that. And I know what I said to someone earlier this week. I said that it is amazing to me the value that people will place on things that do not matter. It's amazing to me how people will value something greater than the other just based on personal preference. Now, again, we all have our personal preferences, all right? I value Skittles as the greatest candy on planet Earth. If you put Skittles and any other candy in front of me, I'm going to eat the Skittles first. They have a very special place in my heart, dating back to childhood, when my mom would go to the store and ask us what kind of candy we wanted. When they ran out of Rascals, which used to be my favorite candy ever till they stopped selling when I was 4, Skittles was next. And since then, I've loved Skittles, and I will eat Skittles till the day I die. I'll probably die eating a Skittle. God, please let that not happen. But I'm not going to spend $50,000 on a Skittle. Now, I may spend $50,000 on Skittles over the course of my lifetime, but I'm not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars on some Skittle that was built or made or manufactured in some foreign country somewhere. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, as I say that, Puzzle Nation, I am also the same person who was willing to spend $50 or $60 on 2 puzzles from some foreign nation. I'm placing value on a specific person or a specific, y'all know I love me some Joe Wall, and Joe Wall's puzzles are the bomb to me. Her artwork is the bomb to me, and most of her puzzles are from foreign, countries. And so if I want one that bad, I'm willing to put in the money to spend on these puzzles. And some people think we're crazy, and quite frankly, we are. But I'm okay with that. That's why I'm the Mad Hatter, because I am mad. But that's the value that I'm placing on it. So maybe I can understand why someone would place so much emphasis and so much value on sand. But again, I still don't get it, because it's sand. If you want sand that bad, get in your car, drive down the street, and go pick up some, put it in a bottle, and bring it back home. Boom, you got sand. So there's got to be some special attachment, and it's got to be going to some auction somewhere to be given to the highest bidder so they can put it in some nice vase and tell everybody and their grandma, oh yes, this is the sand that I bought from Sicily, or this is the sand that I bought from Japan, or this is the sand that I received from Australia. Like, I guess that's what it's about, that it ain't even about playing with it. It's about just being able to say I have it. But so at the end of the day, I guess I kind of get it, but at the end of the day, it's just sand, man. Like, bruh, dirt, really? You're risking thousands of dollars on fines and possible jail time and prosecution over some dirt. Like, there are just some things that ain't worth going to jail for. Dirt is one of them. Let that go. Please, for my sake, for my sanity, please let that go, because it's just not that deep. I cannot stress that enough. Do not be going to no jail. Don't be going to nobody's jail over some dirt, because at the end of the day, that dirt, you're going to turn into dirt. at the end of the day. So it's really not that deep. Don't be trying to go to no Sicily or Jamaica or Puerto Rico and try to get this whole bottle of sand so that you can sell it off somewhere and end up having to spend a day in a Mexican jail. That just ain't what you want. It's not what you want. You got any questions, comments? Fill out the comment box below. And I'll try to get them as fast as I can. You're watching the Mad Hatter is Puzzled here on Instagram and on YouTube. Feel free to comment at any time. Try to get to those comments as fast as I can. The last thing that I'm going to talk about tonight is something that happened yesterday. And I'm going to talk about it. I wasn't going to talk about it at first, but then I decided I am going to talk about it. And let the chips fall where they may. I'm just going to talk about it until my clock runs out, and I would love to get some feedback off of this, but you guys, y'all know me. I'm just going to be here. I'm going to ramble until I can't ramble no more. So I was watching the football game last night. It's the start of the 2020 football season. I did not think we were going to have one, and lo and behold, we do have a football season, and the game was phenomenal. Oh my gosh, the game was phenomenal. It felt like I was watching football once again. Like, the highlights were great. The throws were great. Kansas City put on a show. Houston was terrible. It was a good spectacle to see. I can't even think of the guy's name right now. That's sad because I really like that dude, the quarterback of the team. He put on a show. He scored 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I know Deshaun Watson, the loser of the game. I know his name. But he put on a train wreck. But it's not his fault. That's his team's fault or whatever. The game was phenomenal. I thought that they did good. I thought that all the that the broadcast was good, given everything that's been going on, and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. That was all great. But I have to bring up the fact that I was very, very disappointed in the boos that I heard over the course of the moment of unity for social justice issues. When both teams got on the field at the very beginning. And they stood together for solidarity. They wanted to create a moment of unity for both teams to say that, they're not just football players, but they're also, human beings, and that they're standing for more than just football. And so they got together, and this is how they wanted to celebrate that fact. And right on cue, as if, it was almost inevitable to happen. Sure enough, there were plenty of fans out there that were booing the moment of unity. It was meant to be a moment of silence, a moment of reflection, a moment of, this is bigger than football. And right on cue, here we go with the boos. Here we go with the, with the heckling, and here we go with the what I'm gonna call the bull crap that comes along with, what's been going on over these past few months. And so I was listening to First Take this morning on ESPN, and Ryan Clark brought up a very, very good point. And so I'm going to try to articulate it as best I can here. I hope that I do him justice by saying what he basically said, and then I'm going to roll with what I want to say about that and what he said. But he said the fact that, if it were for breast cancer and they were having a moment of solidarity, everybody would have clapped. Everybody would have been like, yay, I'm so proud of y'all. If it would have been for autism and they were having a moment of unity, everybody would have clapped. Everybody would have said, yay, I'm so proud of y'all. If it would have been for veterans, yay, I'm so proud of y'all. Moment of unity, moment of solidarity, moment of clarity, moment of silence. Yes, and amen. If it for anything else, we would have clapped our hands and we would have been done with it. And no one would have booed. No one would have done anything like that. But because they were standing in a moment of unity for Black people, for black people to have equal rights and to end police brutality amongst blacks and to, stop systemic racism altogether. No, y'all can't stand for that. Y'all can't support that. Y'all can't do that. You're ruining the football game. You're ruining my time to enjoy and relax and to have a good time. You're ruining that for me. And it's just very indicative of how much farther we have to go as a society, given everything that's been going on for the past 5 years. It's been about 5 years. And it breaks my heart that we're still there, that we're still in that place. Because again, it's not that we're trying to say that, the black race is more superior than any other race. We just want everyone to be treated as equals and as fair as the system is supposed to be designed to operate. And so in light of that, there are two things that came out of that, and I'm going to, again, try to be as brief as I can with the time I have left. One, it doesn't matter how much good you do. There is always going to be someone or something who is going to come along and say what you did good was bad. That's just life. If life has taught me anything, and it's interesting that my daughter's sitting right here listening to every word I'm saying, I'm sure you're soaking it in like a sponge. But it doesn't matter how much good you do. There is always going to be somebody, somewhere, who is going to have a negative outlook on what you're doing. They're going to have something negative to say. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, we pay more attention to what the negative comments are than the positive comments. We pay more attention to the bad things that are put out there than we do the good. It seems as though no matter how small the bad things are, we magnify and amplify them to such a degree to where we allow those negative things to impact us in such a horrendous way, where it doesn't matter, 99 people can tell you that you're doing a great job. That one person that tells you that you're wrong, that one person that tells you that you messed up can impact and damage you in such a horrendous way. I can speak for myself that I've allowed that to happen to me a lot of times in my own life, where I've been doing great things, awesome things, incredible things. But then all of a sudden, here's this one person who has something negative to say, and now I'm rethinking every single step that I've taken in doing this good thing. And so even with this, even with the moment of solidarity last night, the expectation was that someone was going to have something negative to say about it. There's just no getting around that. But again, it's still so disheartening to see that even after they said we didn't want to do this thing where, we have some people kneeling for the flag versus standing for this anthem. We didn't want people, trying to take what we're doing as good for as bad, because it's not about that, but people are still spinning it that way. So how about we do this instead? So that way, people don't have to make a decision about whether or not they're going to stand or whether they're going to kneel. We just have this moment of solidarity where we're saying what we want to say, using our platform, and then moving on. Which leads me to my next point. It's amazing to me, still amazing to me to this day, and it infuriates me so much. I can feel the infuriation just bubbling up inside of me. It infuriates me to this day that you have so many people in the world who are always telling celebrities and athletes and superstars that y'all need to be bigger than your sports, that you have all this money and all this power and all this access, and yet all you're doing is just shooting a ball or swimming in a swimming pool or hitting the ball over a net or catching a ball or dunking in a goal. Like, you need to be doing something bigger and better than that. When people finally decide, yes, let's use my platform for something bigger than me. Yes, let's use my platform to try to help others. Yes, let's try to use my platform to leverage, the system so that the system can be fair to all. All of a sudden, you have them same people who are always talking about you need to use your platform for something bigger saying you need to stick to sports. You need to just play ball. You need to just do what you do. You need to stop in investing in, and infringing upon this, that, and just stick to what you do. It is so interesting how hypocritical we can be sometimes as a people, where we want celebrities to stand in and do things, but we want them to do the things we want them to do. We don't want them to do things that make us uncomfortable. We don't want them to do things that make us aware of our privilege or our advantages or how we're disenfranchising other people. No, we would rather them stick to things that are on the fringes, things that don't impact us, things that don't matter, things that don't touch us close to home. As long as they're doing those things, it's fine. But when you start touching on things that are close to me and sensitive to me and, hurt me in some type of way, I don't want you to do that. I want you to stick to sports. And so, again, I find it always interesting. And again, it ain't even got to be about Black Lives Matter. It could be about anything. But as long as it's not touching me, I'm cool. But the second it touches me, now we got problems. You can't say on one side of your mouth, I want the athletes to be bigger than sports. But then when they try to be bigger than sports, when they're being about something bigger than themselves, you say, but don't do that, though. That's not, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do something, but not that. Because at the end of the day, what you're really telling me is, I want you to do what I want you to do, not I want you to do what's right. Even if it means that I have to hurt or I have to think differently about myself, or I have to internalize some things that I didn't have to internalize before, and change my way of thinking and change my attitudes and change my behavior and change, the way that I look at things. So, last night was just a very clear reminder once again of how much farther we have to go as a people. But at the same time, I'm so happy that we are being forced to have these conversations, because I told y'all from jump, in doing this podcast, for instance, I didn't want to talk about stuff like this. I wanted it to be lighthearted. I wanted it to be about weird stories that are out there. And y'all see, I'm even still doing that now. Come on, sand, really? Who cares? But it's stuff that was puzzling me. And I love random junk like that. And so that's what I wanted this podcast to be about. But the more we keep going further into time, the more I realize that, hey, I have a platform too. It's small, but it's a platform nonetheless. And I would be remiss if I'm telling everybody else to use their platforms and I'm not using mine to say something. Because this is what I do. I talk, I think, I'm a talker. And so I want to use my platform for something bigger than, just, my puzzling here with you all. And I'm grateful that I do have support from a lot of you, for the things that, that I do put out there, good, bad, or indifferent. And so, again, it's just frustrating to me that this is where we are as a society in 2020, where we're still being told, you can only speak as much as I want you to speak, as much as of what I want you to speak about. But when it comes to certain things, I don't want you to deal with that. I don't want you to say that. And so, again, it is very hurtful to see and hear the boos last night during the moment of solidarity. I, for one, was not expecting that to happen. But again, just as Stephen A. Smith said, and just as Keyshawn Johnson said earlier today on their various platforms, why am I surprised? Why be surprised? Because at the end of the day, there is always going to be somebody who is going to hate on what you do and hate on who you are. I think that's been the revolving theme of this whole podcast today. So rather than feed into the negativity and feed into the hype and feed into whatever naysayers have to say about whatever it is that you got going on, you do what you do. You be the best you that you can be. You do what you do with integrity. You do so with transparency, and you allow people to see you for who you are, good, bad, or indifferent, and let them think what they want to think, feel what they want to feel, and say what they want to say, because at the end of the day, that's all they can do. That's all they can do is talk, and talk is cheap nowadays, man. I would rather the person who's actually walking the walk than the person who's talking the talk, because we can all get behind a computer and type up 140 characters. We can all stand in a stadium and be in the crowd and boo all day long when no one can see me. But it's interesting if you get in front of these people one-on-one for the most part, and see what they're really feeling on the inside and see whether or not they have the same reaction based upon you being there in their faces. So again, my heart hurts. My heart hurt with that. But again, it's just a reminder that we got to keep pushing. We got to keep striving. We got to keep educating. We got to keep reminding people that the battle's not over. The battle is far from over. We can do our part to try to make this world a better place, one piece, one moment at a time. And hopefully, we're doing that each and every day, just allowing our light to shine before others, that they can see the good work that we do, and maybe even glorify God in the process. If y'all got any questions or comments, feel free to fill out that comment box below. I'm on for about the next 4 minutes as Instagram's getting ready to kick me off. I want to just say thank y'all once again for watching. The Mad Hatter is Puzzled. I want to thank y'all for your viewership. I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. I thank everyone who's participating in the Mad Hatter versus Puzzle Battle Championship. I know that puzzle is hard, but I believe in every last one of you that you can finish the race. Again, you got until 11:59 p.m. tomorrow night to finish and post. And so don't be intimidated by, the fact that that puzzle is a monster. Take your time, breathe, get some rest those eyes, get some Visine, eat a good meal, whatever you got to do to get back in there and finish the mission. I believe in all of y'all. Y'all can get this done. For those who are participating in leaderboard, y'all keep puzzling hard. Man, y'all are so awesome. I love what I'm seeing. Our post has reached up to 200 posts in just 7 days. And I'm so excited about what I'm seeing. Daria, you're awesome as well. I love y'all. I love you and all that you're doing on Instagram. And so just keep doing what you do, and I'll keep, watching what you're doing as well. And again, for those who are participating in the leaderboard, y'all keep doing what you're doing. Those who participate in Together We Puzzle, keep doing what you're doing. I've got a lot of crazy ideas out there that I'm trying to put out there one piece at a time, and so hopefully y'all start seeing some other things coming out pretty soon. I love y'all so much, and I thank y'all for your support. I thank every last one of my followers who's following me. I thank all the puzzle companies who have been supporting me. I want to shout out real quick the Hinkler Group. Y'all sent me some puzzles earlier this week. So thankful to y'all for being my heart all the way out from Australia. So thank y'all for that. Thank you, Kirsty, so much for sending me those puzzles the other day. And again, I love y'all. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. And if there's anything I can do for y'all, just let me know. I'll try my best to do whatever I can. And again, y'all just keep doing what you do. Continue to spread love. Continue to spread support. Continue to spread care. Protect yourselves. Wear your masks. Because, this battle's not over yet. And again, y'all just keep up the good work, keep up the good faith, keep up the good fight, and I will see y'all on the next time that I decide to have a podcast. So again, I'm trying to dig up as much stuff as I can out there. But again, I love y'all, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all's weekend. We'll see y'all on the next episode of the Mad Hatter is Puzzled. Peace. Say bye.
Bye.
See y'all later.